Hi, this is Sheila. Welcome to the Painted Pig channel. I'm going to do another flip through of a journal that I've been talking about for a pretty long time, and I've had it completed for a good while. But I'm ready to let her go, and this is Josie. I know that is rather a stern photograph, but I actually borrowed the photo. It's my mother-in-law's mother, so it's my husband's grandmother. And this was after she was, up in years a little bit, maybe 40s. She didn't live to be very old. But I've borrowed a lot of names and things from my husband's family, but it is completely, this story I'm about to tell you is completely made up. Now, this journal is, I've got it written down somewhere. Okay. It's 5.5 wide, 8.5 tall. It has a 3-inch spine. It has 90 pages plus two 20-page writing journals inside. And the detachable tassel. And because Josie was a healer and into herbs, I put one of these little jars with some, I think it's rosemary I put in there. But as you can see, it's dainty, it's not very big, and it is detachable. And the ribbon closure goes right under the lace, and the front of the journal is also detachable. Well, semi-detachable. That's the ribbon runs through it. Not the river, but the ribbon. And as you can see, it has journal on the front. It's identified as a journal. And it has a couple of keys and this disc with a number, which I'm going to say was her room number at the hotel. And so let me tell you a little bit about Josie. I was going to do a story for this. I had started it, but I decided that the owner probably wouldn't need a story. But I'll tell you that the way it starts is Blunt Springs, Alabama is a little lip of a town about 30 miles north of Birmingham. Even the most discerning eye would be hard-pressed to find evidence of its 19th century claim to fame as the, quote, Saratoga of the South, unquote, due to the three different types of mineral springs that bounded out of the ground and formed a pool. The southern elite and notables from more far-flung places were known to flock there for the, quote, healing, unquote, waters. The elegant accommodations, fine dining, and of course gambling and intoxicating beverages did not deter. There was a band year-round to serenade the guests as they arrived at the train depot and led them to the short walk to the grand three-story hotel where most were bound. It was this cacophony of sights and sounds that a wide-eyed country girl of 17 named Josie Martin experienced as she rode into town with her father in their best horse-drawn carriage. And the story goes on to talk a little bit about her father. He was Joseph Emmanuel Martin, and he was not so wide-eyed or amazed by the resort town as his daughter, because Joseph was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the year 1849. By 1869, the 20-year-old had been apprenticing at an architectural firm for 3 years, and he had a small inheritance from his mother's untimely death, had saved most of his salary. So, armed with faith, cash, and determination, he left Philadelphia and headed south to fulfill his dream of being a land and cattle owner. Riding through North Carolina, Joseph stopped at a trading post in a place called Gunner's Landing. Not by coincidence, it was John Gunner who owned and operated the train post, which was also a rest stop for the stagecoach. Mr. Gunner was a red-haired Scotsman with a Cherokee wife who was known to be a healer. Okay. And a daughter that Joseph was sure had to be the most beautiful young woman in the world. Joseph stayed on at Gunner's Landing a bit longer than he intended and wooed the lovely Sarah Lucinda. He knew he needed to be on his way before the planting season ended, so he gathered his courage and asked John Gunner for his daughter's hand in marriage. Sarah, or Lucy, as her father called her, had long, straight auburn hair, blue eyes, and skin the color of fresh cream. She was the apple of the Scotsman's eye, and he was not of a mind to let her go without some ado. It took Sarah and Joseph one full week to convince him that if his daughter was to be happy, he had to let her go with the young farmer to be. John acquiesced, but made a promise to Joseph that if he did not provide for Sarah or treated her badly, he would track him down and make him wish he'd never been born. Well, Joseph had heard that there was land to be had in Alabama's Blount County. A place called Locust Fort had especially appealed to him. So on March 21st, 1869, the young couple were married and set out that day for Locust Fort and their future together. By the start of 1880, Joseph and Sarah Martin had a sizable farm and a large, comfortable house to accommodate them and their 4 daughters. Joseph had done well buying 500 acres of bottomland at the fork of the Blackburn and Little Warrior rivers. It was said that Andrew Jackson made camp at the fort, passing through with his troops. Supposedly, he carved his name on one of the trees and designated the area as Locust Fort. Joseph did find a stand of honey locust trees, but never found one with Andrew Jackson's name carved in it. On May 27, 1880, Sarah was giving birth to their 5th child, which Joseph was certain would be the long-awaited son that he could give his name to. Upon hearing the cry of the babe, Joseph eagerly ran to meet his son. There laying beside his wife was a mop of black hair and bright blue eyes staring up at him. He looked expectantly at his lovely wife, who smiled and said, "Joseph, meet your new daughter. What in the world can we name her?" Well, with Joseph being so certain the baby would be a boy, they don't bother to pick out a female name. So Joseph looked at his wife, then looked at his 5th daughter and sighed. "We will name her Josephina Emanuela Martin, of course," he said with a smile. So there'd be 2 boys and 1 more girl born to the couple, but Joseph never regretted giving his name to his 5th daughter. She was her daddy's shadow, and followed him all over the farm. But she also learned about herbs and healing from her mother, who had learned it from her mother. So she had a love of books, so she was very intelligent and smart and literal. And so they were at church one Sunday, and this young man with red hair named Claude Griggs, who was a doctor in Blunt Springs, put out a call for someone he could train to be his nurse. He would offer boarding at the hotel there and food and a small salary to whoever wanted to do that. And because of her love of people and healing and knowledge of herbs, Josie was eager to take him up on his offer. So she begged her parents to let her go, and they did. So as the story begins with her entering into Blount County, or Blunt Springs, She found her way to the hotel and where she was supposed to stay, sort of in the back where some of the employees stayed. And in return for her board there at the hotel, the doctor would be on call to the hotel for anything that might happen where they needed his services. And those things did. As a matter of fact, there was a famous actress singer named um, what was her name? Let's see, Lillian Russell, who came to visit the springs, and while sunbathing, most likely in the nude, she was covered in chiggers. And this is all you Southern folk will know what a chigger is. And so his services came in handy that day. And so did Josie's knowledge of herbs. So let's get in, and there were several other instances where there was a shootout that March, another shootout in that May. In June of that year, they had a barbecue at the hotel, the Grand Hotel, and there was about 2,000 people attended. And in July, the Justice of the Peace was killed in a knife fight in the middle of town. So, he actually went to serve a warrant, and he didn't make it back. So there were several little things. I imagine with the gambling and the alcohol, it could get rowdy there. So in December of that year, just after Christmas, there was a fire at the hotel. Well, that same day, Claude had written a letter to Josie. And he said, this was December 28th, 1998. My dearest Josephina, I write this letter with utmost respect and affection. These last 10 months I have seen intelligence in your eyes, kindness in your heart, and a caring touch for a fevered brow in your fingers. I have watched you go about your duties with such beauty and grace. It has filled me with wonder that such qualities could exist in one lovely young lady. It is my wish and my hope that with your father's permission, you will agree to give me your hand in marriage. Your trusted servant, Claude A. Griggs, M.D. And you will notice the little scorch marks. Well, during the fire, before the fire, Josie had put her treasured letter into a metal box in her dresser in her room at the hotel. And when all was said and done, the fire was put out, that dresser, at least part of it, still stood, and the letter was still there in that box, but it had been scorched a tad. And this will have a wax seal, so it will be sealed whenever the owner of the journal receives the journal. They will find this tucked away, and it will be sealed with a wax seal. Now let's look at this. Okay, as you can see, it's very feminine. It's got lots of lace and dangles. I think these are called, I would call them bezels, but I think they're cabochons. And there's charms and beads and all kinds of good stuff hanging. There's a little tag hanging off the bottom, a leaf. I believe it's a bay leaf hanging off the bottom as well. And as you can see, it's got the 3 signatures and then the two writing signatures. that you may have seen me do in the past. Okay, so right inside an envelope for keepsakes, and there's some botanical things in here. Here is a little dangle paper clip, and this is a belly band. And the photo here is Lillian Russell, who got chigger bitten, and she was staying at the hotel with Diamond Jim Brady. So you may not have ever heard of these people, but I found it very intriguing. They were celebrities of the day, and they were there in our little Alabama town of Blunt Springs. Now, today, there's not a public access to the springs, and it's all grown over, and you would be hard pressed to find any traces left of the hotel in the springs. But you can smell it. I can tell you that. There's a restaurant there that we love to go to. Well, we hadn't been a long time, but that's how we discovered the springs, because it's called Top Hat, and they have great catfish and barbecue. And we would always visit what we call the Stinky Springs. And at some point, I decided to research a little bit and found out about the hotel and all the exciting things that have gone on there. And I think it's very intriguing. There's a little pocket there, and then there's a pocket there for an uptuck, which is a little bit unusual. Some stenciling, and the back of the pocket. And here is who I'm calling Dr. Griggs. And we have a double-sided corner tuck here. The specimen there. Pocket there, and a large pocket here for keepsakes. More ephemera, writing spots, dangles, beautiful tags, if I do say so myself, pockets, another uptuck there. You will notice a lot of blue. That was the color I decided that would dominate. Bent. Like I said, it's been a minute. It's sat on the shelf for a while. And this is the other side. We have a writing page, a doily, one of these types of pockets, and this would be Josie's mom. And she had written Mama down at the bottom. And more little specimens in these tags. And a pocket here on the front. This is just really, really pretty, guys. Here is an envelope. That is not any relation, I don't think. These are just little ephemeras that you can write on. Now here is the first writing signature, and of course I did the printing. And there's a quote. Did I do the... No, I didn't do a dangle in the middle. Okay, and this signature also begins with a belly band and a little notebook with little tickets in the front pocket. It's very cute. It's a pig paper clip right up there, a signature, and a cabochon dangle with a nice large tag, blue birdie, and little girl stamp. Here's the Tim Holtz pocket. The other side, I made it into a double-sided over the page pocket. It's a die cut from Tim Holtz. And October. It's when Josie's mom was born. Journaling card. A nice couple that could have stayed at the hotel, only in Alabama in 1898. Doubt it. That's unfortunate, but probably true. Another tag, and it has J for Josie. A wax seal. Another pocket. A large pocket for memorabilia. A little button design there. Another design and pocket there. Edith Holden page on the back of this pocket with a nice large tag. Some collaging there on the side. And here's another big paper clip. So you get double in this one. There may be some glare on this, but this is a tag that you can tuck something into. Hidden journaling, basically, is what that is. And I can't get it. There we go. I see I need to glue the center back in that little flower. I'm going to leave that laying out. And this has this detail. It's got a doily cut out in the corner pocket. And here we have another envelope. And this is a lady named Mary. This is Miss Mary and her dog Buster. She was the town column writer, news. She wrote all the society news for the town. And they were, that is true. That's a real person. And she lived there into her 90s. And here's the second writing journal with a quote on the back. And the third signature here has also has a belly band with a booklet attached. And a dangle there, a pocket with a large tag there, and again the die cut out with the lace inside. This is Louisa Hensel's printable, and this, I'll have to think, how does this go? I know it's hidden journaling as well. Oh, you slide it down. That's right. You slide it down, and there's a tag there, and then there's an envelope where you can put things. And let's see. Here we go. And then this slides up. And there we go. It's got the little dangle on the bottom. Okay. And some tracing paper on the side and stitching. And this is another version of that tag that you saw earlier. And here's a tag made from an Edith Holden page. There's plenty of room for writing in this. Plenty of room for writing and photographs. And what is that? I don't know. Oh, I do. Duh. I fooled myself. Another hidden journaling spot. And it's a little tight. So You have to work at it. But I was thinking, what did I do to that tag? How funny. We do forget, don't we? It doesn't take me long. Okay, and here is another large pocket. It's one in each signature. And shall we gather at the river? And when the saints go marching in. This is an antique, from an antique music hymnal, so to speak. There we go. And a tab there. Another little envelope full of goodies. And this photograph is actually Claude Griggs. Now, he was not a doctor. He was a farmer. But it's Mary's grandfather, my husband's grandfather. So I used an actual picture. I printed a copy of it to put in the journal to go along with the story. Here we have a little small envelope and a little bitty belly band. Another pocket and tag. And here we have one of those little turn things. And you can open it up. There's a little pocket and an envelope with writing paper. And finally, back has a very large tag you can use for writing board. And so that is Josie. And, excuse me, I think she is very pretty. And she is chunky, but she has got a lot inside. And this is not a junk journal. I wouldn't call this a junk journal. I would call this a handmade journal. And being handmade, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to have things in it, special things in it that you won't find in any other journal. And that's the story of Josie Martin and her journal. And by the way, she and the doctor got married and had children and moved to Birmingham. I mean, I had made up a whole story about her. Okay, and it's got the little frills at the top too. So I think it ranks up there with the Rose, the journal I made called the Rose. I'll put a link to. There's 3,500 views of it, so you might want to check it out. And this, I think, is probably larger, but I'm very proud of it. So it's going to be in my Etsy store. Hopefully by the time this video comes out. And I hope you visit. There's a link below. I hope you'll come visit and take a look at what's in there. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, and by the way, whoever buys the journal gets all these little bits and bobs to play with in the journal themselves. So, there you go. So, you have a wonderful day. Hugs and kisses until next time. Bye.